In this module, you'll learn how to provide a welcoming environment for WIC participants by using the first principle of influence, liking. Of the 6 principles of influence, liking is probably the most important. It's the foundation for all the others.
We've already talked about it a little, but can you explain a little bit more about the principle of liking?
People are more receptive to change when they like the person they're working with. They are more likely to say yes to people they like and no to people they don't like. The best way to get participants to like us is to like them first. They know when we like them and are more likely to like us back.
I can see that. It's like if I'm buying a car, I'm more likely to buy if I like the salesperson.
Businesses use this to their advantage all the time. They hire salespeople and customer service people who are likable and friendly. People are more likely to say yes to people they like and also to people who are like them or who walk in their shoes. For example, if you're selling to college students, it's better to have younger salespeople because it's easier for them to relate. I know I don't go back to places where people were unlikable or I don't feel I was treated in a way that showed they liked me. I wonder if that ever happens at WIC.
Very likely. It's hard to be likable to every client every day, but I know we try to be. I have seen staff go the extra mile many times, but I have also noticed times when we were not as likable.
So true. Likability starts or stops with the first phone call or the first time a participant steps through the door.
We are all responsible for making WIC likable, but it starts with the people in the front setting the stage. We are the first people to warmly greet clients, and we're the last to thank them for coming.
I agree. As a clerk, think of yourself as the director of first impressions. You make participants feel welcome. When participants feel welcome and valued, you're starting the behavior change process. Your greeting may make a difference if that mom breastfeeds her child, switches to low-fat milk, or serves a new veggie that night with supper. You matter.
How do I do that when the clinic's busy? I can't sit and chat with everyone for 5 minutes. I don't have time.
That's a real concern, but sometimes you can make people feel welcome without taking much time. Smiling doesn't take any extra time, and neither does using a warm tone of voice. What do you think you could do in 30 seconds or less to make someone feel more welcome?
Well, I guess I could thank them for coming in. That wouldn't take long.
That's a great idea. You could also use participants' names when they come in, or use the names of their kids. It's a little personal touch that makes them feel welcome without taking very long. Simply acknowledge them with a smile and eye contact if you're too busy with other clients to help them at that time. Let's think about ways to build rapport and be welcoming and likable on the phone. How do you think you could incorporate the principle of liking when you're on the phone?
We already mentioned smiling, and even though you can't see it, I know it makes a difference on the phone too. When I smile, people can hear it in my voice. I try to be helpful and interested in what participants say.
What do you do when someone has an urgent problem?
I try to let them know I've heard them and understand their problem. If I can't give them an answer right away, I reassure them that I'll get back to them as soon as I can.
What about things to avoid when you're on the phone? Things that might make people feel less welcome.
I don't chew gum or eat while I'm on the phone. I always think it's distracting and a little rude when I call someone and can hear them chomping away on the other end.
You mentioned earlier that you've already taken PCS training. Do you remember the OARS skills?
Yes. OARS are communication and active listening skills. It stands for open-ended questions, affirmations, reflections, and summaries. I'm starting to see how these are connected to the principles of influence. All of those skills can be used to build rapport with participants.
You got it. Let's watch an example of how someone sets the tone while on the phone. Listen to how she makes the participant feel welcome right from the start.
Thank you for calling Broadway WIC. This is Veronica. How may I help you?
Hi, my name is Maisha. I missed my appointment. I need checks.
Oh, good morning, Maisha. You missed your appointment. We'll go ahead and get you rescheduled here. That's no problem at all. Do you have your WIC folder there with you?
No, I don't have it available right now.
Oh, no problem. I'll be happy to look it up here for you. Can I get your spelling of your first name?
Maisha, M-A-I-S-H-A.
Oh, that's so pretty. Does it mean anything?
Yes, it means life in Swahili. Thank you.
Oh, wow, that's so beautiful.
Thank you.
Oh, it looks like you have David here, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And how's he doing?
He's doing well. He's just hitting his 3-month mark. Thanks for asking.
Oh, he's growing well?
Yes, ma'am. Thank
Oh,
you.
that's so good. And it looks like for the appointment, you don't need to bring him, but we'll be happy to see him if you want to bring him in. It's going to be conversation about how he's growing, how you guys are doing. When are you available?
As soon as possible.
She added that personal touch by asking about the meaning of the mom's name and using her son's name. Also, when Maisha said she didn't have her folder, she said it was no problem.
And see, the personal touch didn't take much longer than if she were to simply jump in and schedule the appointment. Yet, that small action made this mom feel more welcome and valued. I thought her tone of voice helped the mom feel comfortable too.
Do you have any more examples I could watch?
I do. Let's compare 2 different versions of a clerk checking in a participant. The first clerk isn't very likable. As you watch this video, watch for ways he could have acted differently to set the stage for behavior change.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Are you going to check in?
I'm sorry, I didn't know I had to.
Do you have an appointment?
I do.
Okay. Did you bring your paperwork?
I did, yes.
May I take a look at it?
Sure.
All right. Okay, so it looks like we're enrolling the baby into the program today. Did you bring the information that we need today?
I didn't know what information I needed to bring. I'm sorry, sir.
It says right here, proof of address, proof of ID, and proof of income.
Okay.
The last time you were here, the worker that's seen you put this in your folder?
Right, and like I just said, I didn't know what I needed to bring. And obviously you saw how you pulled that out of the pocket. That's where it was placed. It wasn't placed where I guess it usually should go. So I wasn't aware that I needed to bring these things.
Okay. Let me go ahead and, it's real challenging to help you when you don't check in. And it would be helpful if you came on time. You were supposed to be here 30 minutes ago. It's 3 o'clock. I'll go ahead and get you checked in. I'll let one of the workers in the back know that you're here.
Wow, there was a lot that could have been more welcoming. He was really rude and acted superior the whole time. He didn't greet her when she came in, and he just assumed she knew the process for checking in. There was no attempt at making a personal connection. He barely even made eye contact with her. He scolded her for not knowing what paperwork she needed to bring and for being late. It made her defensive.
Think about what that mom had to be feeling after that experience. What do you think is the chance of behavior change after her appointment today? How likely is it that she will want to return to this WIC clinic?
Not very likely. No matter what the counselors do, she's already defensive and not receptive to being here. She's probably going to resist.
The clerk has a lot of power in this example, but not in a good way. Now, compare that video to another interaction between the same 2 people. Watch what the clerk does this time to be more likable.
Morning.
Hey, good morning.
Hi, how are you doing today?
Good, how are you?
Good, good.
Do you need my folder?
Yeah. In fact, let me just go ahead and go over and
Oh,
get that folder
thank
from you.
you.
No
Gosh.
problem.
Need more employees like you. That's awesome. So how are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Oh, here you go.
Okay, thank you. You mind if I take a look at
Oh,
him?
no, not at all.
All right.
He's sleeping right now.
Let's see. Wow.
My little guy.
Yeah, he's a little angel sleeping.
Yeah, he looks like his dad.
Wow. So how are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I'm tired, but I guess that has to do with a lot of the postpartum stuff going on, so yeah.
Good. Well, baby looks good. I'm impressed you even made it out today.
I know, so am I. I mean, it's so hot out, and
Yeah.
I had no
this-
choice, though. I have to
Just
get
a
my,
week after,
my
I would
stuff.
have probably been home watching some movies. Let me go ahead and get you checked in.
Okay, thank you.
He was welcoming right from the start this time. He greeted her right away. Instead of asking, "Are you going to check in?" He walked out to her and made her feel comfortable. He made a personal connection by asking about the baby and complimenting her for coming in.
What do you think the chance of behavior change is this time?
Much higher. He was very likable and welcoming, and that set the stage for a positive experience in her appointment.
Let's review another pair of examples. This time it's a more difficult situation. Working with a participant who has lost her checks. In this video, watch for how unlikable the clerk makes himself and the missed opportunity to give the participant a positive experience.
Hi, I was just wondering, I was at the,
We don't allow food or drink. Just because it's unsanitary, there's all the little babies, so you need to put that away.
okay. That's just, it's hot, you know, and I needed something
I understand,
to drink.
but, you know, it's for the babies to
Okay.
keep things sanitary and everything, because this is a clinic.
Okay, well, anyway, I was here to see about replacing some lost WIC checks.
Oh, we don't do that. But, you
I
know,
have, like, 3
if you
months
find
worth
them,
of
they're
checks
still
in
good.
there. Is there any, I was at the
Yeah,
store
no.
and, you know, my baby was crying and I guess I put them down somewhere,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, you really just need to figure out where you may have left them, because we cannot replace checks.
At all?
It's just
I mean,
policy.
you can't just
There's
void them and reissue?
There's nothing we can do. If you find them, you know, they're still good, but like,
Okay. So, like, what if I, you know, find them, you know, the day before or the day after? Can I still use them? I mean, I lost
as long as
them.
they're within the, you know, the eligibility date on the checks, you can use them, but we can't replace them. And since it's, you know, 2 months out from your next appointment, you know,
So I can't just
you're just going to have to
reschedule,
find a way. There's nothing we can do. So I would, you know, encourage you to go back and look, but, you know, we don't replace checks, period.
Okay.
And I know that I know you're new on the program, but I know that they emphasize before they issue the checks that we can't do anything if they're lost, and you really need to keep them in a safe place, because this is what happens.
Well,
we just
I
can't
mean, I was
help
just, you know, I was kind of distracted and busy, and you
Yeah.
know, I guess I put them somewhere, and I
Yeah.
just, you know,
Yeah, I
nothing
understand,
at
but
all?
that's just all we
Okay.
can do.
all right.
So good luck. Hope you find them. But
Well, thank you. I kind of felt a little frustrated just because, you know, there wasn't, you know, if you have 3 months of checks, you know, that's 3 months. You lose them, you can't come back and get any more when you would need them, you know, if you did need them. I felt like the most important thing were the rules and regulations. I don't feel like he did value me at all, or, you know, my family or the situation.
Well, it is true that we can't give people replacement checks. That's the law, and we really can't change that. But he could have handled it better by giving her some other solutions. I didn't like how he started the whole conversation either. Right off the bat, he told her she couldn't have food and pointed at the sign. He was completely focused on the rules and didn't care about the person.
I agree. Is this woman going to look forward to her next visit to WIC?
No way. She'll probably tell her friends about how badly she was treated.
Let's see how this can be handled more effectively. Pay attention to how the clerk interacts differently this time.
Hi. I just had a quick question. I seem to have lost my WIC checks, and I was just wondering if you guys could, you know, reissue checks.
oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Let's talk about some options to make sure that you do get some foods for the next 2 months. I'm sorry to say we can't replace checks. My hands are tied.
You can't, you know, help me at all? I mean, there's nothing else, you can't reissue at all?
We can't replace checks.
Okay.
Now, I would encourage you to look for them, because if they turn up, you can still use them,
Okay.
and I hope that they do. But in the case that they don't, there's a couple of things that we can do.
Okay.
Do you know about the SNAP or the food stamps program?
I've heard about it.
Well, I'm going to make sure you have the contact information for them,
Okay,
because you should apply for them, and that will really help in the meantime.
okay.
And there's also some numbers here I'd like to share with you, some other options. Would you like to discuss that?
Sure.
Well, there are some other food banks in the area,
Okay.
and some places that help families. Well, I understand these are tough times. There are some great programs here in the community. some food banks, and there's a couple places here
Okay.
that I would recommend contacting first because they are great.
Okay.
But let them know. They'll be glad to help you. Well, while you're here, let me look in the computer and make sure that we have you coming back in for your next appointment on the first day that you're eligible for benefits.
Okay.
Because I don't want you to wait any unnecessary time.
Thank you.
And it looks like we have you coming in on Friday at 10 o'clock. And yeah, you're actually eligible the Thursday, the day before.
Okay.
Would you be able to come in that day?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
that would be perfect.
And on Thursday, we have a 10 o'clock appointment available. Would you
Yes,
be able to come in?
that's perfect. Yes, I
Okay,
can come in. at
wonderful.
10.
Well, I'll put you down for the Thursday at 10. And give us a call if you need to change that time. Call if you find your checks, because
I
I would
will.
love to hear
Thank you.
that good news, and I'm going to be thinking about you.
Thank you so much.
So you're welcome.
Bye. It was a little disappointing to know that you can't get reissued checks, but it was also nice to know that when you left, you know, there were other programs and services available. It was very positive. It was very helpful, and I felt like, you know, I wasn't just another person to usher through.
This time, the very first thing he did was apologize. Then he mentioned options for her to get food. Only after that did he tell her that they couldn't replace the checks. He didn't dwell on the rules, though. He jumped right into giving options.
Right. He talked about SNAP and food banks. He also checked on her appointment date to move it up so she could get checks sooner.
And when he closed the conversation, he made a little personal connection, saying he'd be thinking about her and hoping she'd call with good news if she found the checks. The mom obviously didn't get what she had hoped for when she came in, but she did feel like the clerk cared about her as a person. I'm sure she'll be more open to change after this interaction. Yes, I can definitely see how being likable doesn't have to take much more time than what I'm already doing. It makes our participants more likely to change their behavior. I think I'm ready to learn more about the other principles of influence now.